Okay, so when we talk about length tension relationship, position of joints, and pennate muscle, one thing you really have to understand is, okay, what type of tension are we developing? Are we developing a lot of active tension where it's just coming a lot from the sarcomeres and the myosin and actin cross bridges? Are we developing a ton of passive tension, um, uh, which will contribute a greater degree to total tension? In this instance, when passive tension is really high, lots of stress on the tendons, then we have those sarcomeres really spread out, so we're not getting a lot of contribution from the active side. So if we break it down into joint position, if this is someone like that would be doing a pull-up one side of the body, it's a terrible drawing, but you have the lats, right, elbow position, so fully extended, middle extended, and you would be getting a little less passive tension development here, getting into more active tension development, and then obviously fully flexed, all those sarcomeres are starting to crash into one another, the Z discs are bumping into one another, and you're at full contribution from the active side. You can't produce any more, right? This doesn't mean any cross bridges aren't being made. Actually, they are. It's just not a maximum number of cross bridges compared to where we were here, where we're getting some passive tension development, lots of optimal active tension development, or if we're completely stretched out and we can't get the active tension development, then we have to do it with lots of tension developed passively. Also, what we can consider here is a lot of times when we're here, we are in an eccentric position or muscle contraction. So whatever sarcomeres we have developed with myosin and actin, whatever cross bridges we have developed here, they're actively trying to pull together while the passive tension is also contributing as the joint is being pulled apart. So this could be considered an eccentric position a lot of times, not necessarily, especially if you're just completely relaxed and you're not activating your muscle tension. But in this instance, if this was a pull-up, this would be a big eccentric load, lots of passive tension, and sarcomeres still trying to come together with cross bridges being made, just not optimally if we're talking about active tension development. If we drop down to the pennation angle, then so what we can see is when we're in a really stretched out position, we have this optimum angle to start developing tension. Lots of tension being placed on the tendon here, and as we start developing tension, it doesn't mean that tension really is decreasing, it's just coming from a different place actively now. We're starting to get more active contribution, so we're starting to get away from this big, huge passive contribution. We still have lots of passive contribution, but not as much as we would over here. So we're starting to get a lot more active contribution until, obviously, we know that the sarcomeres have really come together. Z discs are really close to one another until we get into a fully flexed state if we're talking about the joint. And we have as much contribution we can have actively here in these fibers, and obviously we're on the left-hand side of the curve, so not as much passive development as we would if we were over here. Hopefully that helps, and happy studying.